Hey, welcome, Central Coast. Welcome to Living the Run right here on ESPN 1280 The Ticket. I'm your host, Rex Stevens, in studio. Olympian Paul Tarek. Paul, I haven't been this excited about a show, I don't think, probably ever. Based on what happened last week, you've had a grin on your face coming in. But I'll tell you this, too. We haven't been in the presence of an elite athlete at this epic proportion. And don't look as if you're an elite athlete still
I was like, whoa,
at this stage.
hey, buddy. No, I'm a washed-up has-been. I'm okay with that. I'm comfortable.
Fastest marathoner in San Luis Obispo, for sure. Ran the Grandmas out in Minnesota last year, I believe, at 2:15. 2:15, Paul. Meb won as an American this year at Boston at 2:08. We're talking ridiculously fast and high level. Working guy, Paul, 2 young kids running 2:15. Good stuff. But we've got to preface this show with what we had last week here on Living the Run. Really some good stuff, because we're talking first-time marathoners. We're talking about Boston qualifiers. We're talking about strategies that sometimes, well, in this case, went awry.
I think it was that sodium tablets.
It may have been the sodium tablets from last week. If you haven't tuned in to any of these shows in the past, to know what we're talking about tonight, check in at facebook.com/livingtherun. Pick up that podcast. 3 guys set out to Boston qualify, all in their first marathon last week. All guys, we said, and this is a big deal, non-runners from the standpoint that never competed in running, but that became runners, as they aged. Fit guys, all play different sports, decided to tackle this thing. Glad to have these guys in studio right now. Paul, if only we had this thing TV cast. The look on Paul Tarek's face tells it all. Let's bring them in right now. Corey Miller, Chad Thule, and Keith Sweeney. Hey, guys, we started last week with the coach. We're going to start with the coach again this week. Oftentimes, and you'll hear it here on ESPN regularly, coaches take the blame.
Yeah, glory to the athlete, blame to the coach. That's how it goes.
Glory to the athlete, blame to the coach. I will, up to this point, suggest that I haven't heard blame yet. But my guess is, as we get along into this interview,
it's inevitable. It
happens every time. And we'll see what happens as the strategy continues into that next race. But we'll start with you, Coach. Corey Miller, come on in. We went 0 for 3 in the Boston qualifier. We needed 3:15s. The talk last week was, is there any possibility at all that the 3 of you stay together? And we we pretty much we 86 that right off the bat, right? I can't remember. We have to go back and listen.
Gun goes off. Boom, we're gone.
Gun goes off. Chad was the first guy I know to leave that. But in your mind, going in with the approach you guys had, the mental approach, the physical approach, where did you see it go wrong in this race?
Yeah, well, when we start off the race, everyone's so excited. People just rush out of it when the gun goes, And so it was tough to maintain that first slow mile. And, everybody was ahead of pace on mile 1. I would think we tried to, the goal was 7:45. I went at 7:35, and these guys were just a few steps in front of me. But for the most part, I maintained my pace. There was a pace setter there, the 3:15 guy, so I followed him to as much as I can through mile 17, and then kind of hit the wall there.
Yeah, and I think, interestingly enough, you guys all hit the wall in a different way. I think it's an interesting point. What started to be the big struggle for you, which not everybody quite understands can happen in these long races? Everybody thinks musculoskeletal. You started to struggle digestively.
Yeah, just my stomach really got upset. It got rough. At some points, just wanted to stop and find a restroom, but I just kind of kept going through it. Basically, just got to you talk a lot about in your show about what you eat. You definitely got to pay attention and know what your body runs on best.
Now, did you change? I know this is going to be the question you probably get a bunch. Did you change anything pre-race? Did you try something different, diet wise, or maybe not eat something you normally eat?
Yeah, since we're out of town, it was kind of different than eating at home. And I usually just have pasta and some simple chicken, and we did eat steak and a bunch of other stuff, some potatoes and whatnot. So that was a little bit different.
Yummy the night before,
Yeah.
not so good the next day.
It was great food, but yeah, not before the race.
I thought for sure you were going to suggest that just the frustration and irritation of running with these guys that didn't listen to the coach and them starting to run ahead is what caused your demise.
I was trying to pull him back. I mean, they kept looking back at me, and I said, "Come on back." And it was probably about mile 4. I pretty much lost sight of Chad, and I could still see Keith, but Chad just took off.
Hey, tuning in for the first time, you're listening to Living the Run right here on ESPN 1280 The Ticket. First-time marathoners, great experience in so many ways, epic experience. Interesting to look at Chad Thule here standing in studio. You know, the guy's got his wrist all taped up.
He looks like he hit the physical wall, not
Just
the
he hit the physical wall. If you saw him at mile 24, undiagnosed case of Tourette's potentially in there. Step in, Chad. That injury, not from the race.
No, not from the race. It was the after race. I cracked a couple fingers on some glass on Memorial Day, so got that all patched up and ready to just about start running again. So
talk about where things a little different than Corey. You know, it wasn't a digestive thing as much for you. You talked about feeling great, looking back at miles 9 through 14. As Coach said, he said, we tried to bring you back a little bit. 9 through 14, that pace got down to 6:55, 7-ish, which is 25 to 30 seconds faster. You weren't feeling it at the time. Looking back at the race.
Yeah, you know, I made a very decisive choice to pass the pacer at mile 5, and I remember him saying, "Do you know what you're doing?" And there were probably 20 or so people around him, and it turns out later I heard that he was a pretty good coach to have running next to you. So maybe in hindsight, but I'm battling that right now. Like, would I have done anything different? I felt really good looking at the elevation. You know, after fact, you know, there's a lot of downhill, and I went for it. Felt good. I was running with some really fast guys. I was 1:33 at the half, so I figured, gosh, all I need to do is run this, you know, and I got 12 minutes to add to my half, and I'd still be, you know, under, you know, 3:15. So was almost negative split up until 18, 19, and then those last from 22 on, I added, you know, significant time. So I was off by 7 minutes. So I gave the 6 plus the 7. That's ended up.
It's like one of those things, you know. It's just mile 4. You know, I'm feeling good. I'm going for it. It's like, dude, there's still 22 miles to go.
And, but you know, I heard all that, and I'm thinking, you know what, I got that. I got it. I willfully went for it. I heard all that, and I hit that proverbial textbook, you know, wall, and it's real. I don't think it was mental. I mean, you were running with me from 22 to 26. I couldn't get those quads to move, and you know, I just got to rethink what I would do next time and probably slow down. It's hard to think, like 10 seconds a mile. Is that really going to make that big of a difference over, you know, 15 miles? I guess. I mean, I got a lot to learn.
Hey, stay tuned with us on Living the Run. In about 10 minutes, we'll hear from a very, very top marathoner on that exact point. Good stuff. Part of this, the veteranship. Keith, step in. You know, I was running back to get you, man. I thought that it would be fun to come in the last mile and a half with you. I was having trouble finding you, and then I received that text that said, Keith jumped the fence.
I'm from Ireland. Any way to get into America?
Talk about your race. You know, again, 17, 18 started to hurt a little bit. I did get a text that said, hey, Keith is ahead of the pace. He looks like he's hurting a bit. Talk about the mental and physical for you. What you learned?
I think in life you don't make mistakes, you learn lessons. This is a really good lesson for all three of us. Looking back, I think we thought running downhill was going to make it better, but my quads seized. I couldn't walk. So now looking back, I want to run the next one flat and not downhill. But I'm glad, in a roundabout way, I'm glad none of us qualified, because it keeps the drama going. It's like a sequel. And Chad mentioned something last week, was after the half marathon in San Luis Obispo, there was an anticlimax. And I feel like if we had qualified, there might have been a big anticlimax. So this just makes Boston that little bit further away, a bit more of an adventure. And to me, I think it's going to be good. I think it makes us stronger, better, faster, and we are going to be so much more prepared when we do get to Boston.
Now, Where were you at on your time? Let's say mile 15. Where were you? How were you looking at mile 15?
I wasn't timing myself. I was just running, so I didn't have a GPS watch, so I didn't know my pace.
You were in front of the pacer.
He was
Front of the pacer.
Yeah.
I had some trouble earlier on with my foot. I had to keep stopping and relacing my shoe, so the pacer would pass me, and then I'd get back past him.
Oh, interesting theory, Theo.
So, I want to say probably when I stopped, I was probably just a minute or two ahead of the pacer.
Just a little ahead of the pace, but you were going faster than slower, faster. Accelerate, decelerate the whole time.
Yeah.
No, probably didn't.
But I felt
probably didn't
great.
feel well.
No, I felt great running perfectly. By mile 15, 16, I'm like, God, this is going to be good. Checked my watch, thought I had a bit of time to play with, so I said, I'll be able to slow down to 7:40, 7:50 on the last mile or two. It's a shoe in, and then just the legs locked. And I've never experienced that before. So it was kind of like there was nothing out of the ordinary except for running downhill. So yeah, like I said, I think it's going to be a good thing. Now we've got to sign up for another marathon, train harder, and you get to hang out with this bunch of guys.
Hey, talk about this real quick. Again, if you're just joining us, you listen to Living the Run here on ESPN 1280 The Ticket. We're talking first-time marathoners, veteran marathoner and 2:15 guy, Jameson Mora, in about 5 minutes. Just talk about that real quick. And I wanted to say this, Keith. One thing that resounded for me that's come out of your mouth several times is you'd rather fail at something big than succeed at something small. And, hats off to all three of you guys for taking on in your very first marathon. Hey, we're going for Boston qualifying times our very first time, which was big. But talk about how you will approach real quick another one, and are you willing to do another one? I know, Corey, for you, the digestive system was pretty beat up. One of the things you said after, you said, how did these things get so popular? Sign up for another one, be ready to go, how much time in between, and just something real quick that you might approach differently going in.
Yeah, we're definitely going to sign up for the next one. We're just trying to logistically find out which one's the best one to do. What I would do differently, I think I would just go for longer runs, not necessarily on the road, but just go out for longer, maybe trail runs, go over that 3-hour mark, just to let your body experience running for that long, because it's a long time out there, and to stay focused that long on your pace is a tough thing to do mentally.
Yeah, tips and takeaways. Chad, give us something that you're going to do differently, because I think out of the three of these guys, you've wrestled with it the most in the sense that you're not sure that the approach you took was that far off. Talk about if you are going to change that, where you might see that change.
Yeah, the word discipline comes to mind. I think I got to develop a little bit of that. To me, I wanted to be a little bit ahead to have that margin. And I've been reading a lot and talking to a lot of guys that are a lot smarter than me about this. And most world records, most PRs are set in same or negative splitting. So I need to do better at that for the last 6 miles. But I guess I would just encourage anybody out there who's never run one. It's very doable. Get out there and get on it. And I'm doing another one for sure. I knew right away after finishing. I mean, as soon as I stopped, I'm like, okay, we got to do this again. Even though I was like way beyond the pain locker, I wanted to go back. So.
Guys, hang in there with me. We got to take a quick commercial. We'll bring in Jameson Mora. I want to hear what he has to say exactly on what you were just saying. Hey, negative splits tend to be your top times of all time. It seems to be something pushed out there. My mindset tends to be like you. I want to give myself some room to be able to lag back. It'd be interesting to talk to him. Again, a 2:15 guy, Paul.
I got nothing. Even funny
so
to
much
say
respect for
about
that.
2:15 is flying. Guys, Jameson Mora next on Living the Run.
You're listening to Living the Run on ESPN Radio 1280 The Ticket.
Hey guys, Paul Tarek from Living the Run here. As a former Olympian, there is only one place myself and fellow athletes go when it comes to chiropractic care on the Central Coast. With 4 chiropractors in the clinic, Slow Wellness Center is the largest, most comprehensive group of docs in San Luis Obispo County. I began seeing Dr. Rex Stevens back in 2005 for spinal adjustments to help maximize my performance, minimize my injury, and allow me to compete at my best. When the difference between a win and a loss can be just a fraction of an inch, perfect alignment in all joints is essential. One of the great things about the team at Slow Wellness is no matter where I had an issue, whether it was my spine, my foot, knee, wrist, or shoulder, they were always able to help. This team, made up of Dr. Rex and Molly Stevens, Dr. Sachs, and Dr. Bandolo, is sure to help you reach your health and fitness goals too. If it's chiropractic care you need, go where I go, Slow Wellness Center. Check them out at slowwellness.com or call 543-8688.
Hey everyone, Eric Fiallo here from leftlanesports.com. Are you tired of paying full retail on your favorite outdoor and endurance brands? Well, whether you run, bike, swim, hike, climb, or surf, leftlanesports.com has got you covered. Save 50 to 70% off retail every day on brands like Under Armour, Asics, New Balance, Timex, Hurley, Patagonia, and more. Visit leftlanesports.com and sign up for a free membership. Plus, save on shipping by picking up your order at our headquarters in San Luis Obispo. leftlanesports.com. Gear you need, prices you want, service you deserve.
Puma Aquatics team offers year-round swim programming for novice, recreational, and competitive swimmers. For 16 years, Puma has developed some of the fastest swimmers on the Central Coast, as well as the nation. Puma has 3 convenient locations to choose from, providing programming for all of San Luis Obispo County. Puma offers swim assessments for new swimmers on Tuesdays and Thursdays at the Slow Kennedy Club, Atascadero Kennedy Club, and Arroyo Grande High School. For more information about Puma Aquatics, check out pumaswim.org. Join the Puma Pride and challenge yourself to reach new levels in your swimming. Puma Aquatics, where pride, passion, and persistence pay off.
Arts Cyclery wants to invite everyone to join the celebration. Arts has just been voted the best bike shop in San Luis Obispo County for the 22nd year in a row. To celebrate, Arts has great pricing across the whole store and specials like free gloves with any Castelli jersey or short purchase, free laser sunglasses with the purchase of any laser helmet, plus so much more. So come down to Art Cyclery at 181 Suburban Road and celebrate with great service, massive selection, and prices that will not be beat. Offers good while supplies last.
Did you know that many people endure aches and pains in their feet, legs, and back, but few recognize the solution for some of the more common causes are as simple as a more supportive and comfortable insole? At Cadence Insoles, we understand the insole in your shoe provides the first line of support and comfort for your feet. Designed by physical therapists and recommended by podiatrists, Cadence insoles provide the elusive combination of orthotic support with the shock-absorbing comfort of an insole. A local business? Visit cadenceinsoles.com for more information. Cadence Insoles. Support made comfortable.
We're back with Living the Run.
Good conversation as always during the break, especially when you get 6 dudes in this.
Those were gems, man. Those were key nuggets of information.
Key nuggets of information we got to share with you. We just joined the show. Rex Stevens, Paul Tarek in studio. We got Corey, Keith, and Chad just finished their first marathon. Good learning experience down in Ojai to Ventura. Right now, we just brought in Jameson Mora, fastest marathoner on the Central Coast by far, 2:15 in Minnesota about a year ago. His wife, and I like what you said, your wife doesn't know that she may be potentially trying to qualify for Boston.
Yeah, the goal
right?
for
She knows now.
the goal for the first one is to just try to finish and see what it's all about. But secretly, I'm going to tell her to run certain paces that hopefully she'll be able to hold and qualify for Boston.
Hey, what's the difference? Corey just said it in here, and he said, you can finish the marathon. How much of it goes into that, just having that confidence, knowing that you can finish 26? How much will that help these guys on their next one?
Well, to be honest, the first couple marathons I did, I never ran farther than 20 miles. So I think it was just as big a mystery to me at the beginning as it is to them. But I would think that if you can run 20 miles in a training run and you've had some decently hard runs throughout the week, and you've been building up 2 miles per week, you should know that you can for sure go 22 just following the progression you've been doing, maybe 24 because you'll rest up a little more, and then you just man up and do the next 2.
So what you're saying here is Keith probably has the best future out of all these 3 guys because he didn't finish his first, as you didn't finish your first 2.
Oh, I finished. I just didn't quite.
I thought you said you didn't finish.
No, I didn't hit the time I wanted. I blew up.
Okay, hey, so is it true? Start slower, end strong. Does that hold up?
Well, it does whenever people do it. Oddly enough, even amongst great runners, it's still just a death march the last 6 for a lot of guys. Because it seems when you're in mile 6, mile 7, and you're running fast, it seems like you can hold it for, a long distance. If it's a pace you can hold for 19 miles, it'll feel easy at mile 6. But 19 miles doesn't get you there.
No question about it.
And no, you don't want to be a hero in your first 6. You want to be a hero in your last 6.
Well, your advice, now, and Corey said this as well. Where were you last week before this thing? Your advice to your wife. She's in the same boat that these 3 guys are in. First time marathon, hasn't been out there. You got a 10-month-old at home. She, again, non-runner, she even said non-competitive athlete for the most part. Just started running as she married into you.
She married into the sport.
She married into the sport. She's going to go out there. Where is your focus of advice to her going in? What's the 1 or 2 main points that she just has to bring home?
Yeah. Well, first of all, she's been running consistently in her races. And if you look at the paces she's been running at, she should be able to run 8-minute pace for her marathon. She needs to be able to run 8:12 pace to qualify for Boston. I'm going to tell her to go out no faster than 8:15 pace, behind pace.
Because that she will probably run faster.
I don't know. Most people don't hit their goal their first marathon, like no one, including me, But I'm hoping she can just stick to that pace, stick behind her goal pace, and hopefully make it up at the end, which is rare. But people, it's hard to be patient. It's hard to be patient for that long.
I think the problem is people just dream too big. If you set your bar low enough, you will always achieve your goals, right? That's how it goes.
No, it's true. It's true. I have never talked to a single person who told me they went out too slow in their marathon. Never.
That's an interesting point. Again, talking to Jameson Mora, elite marathoner. I think this is brilliant for the listeners. You're 30 years old. You were a college runner, but never had great results as a collegiate runner.
No, I was never an All-American. I never made it to nationals as an individual. In fact, my senior year, my big goal was to just make it to regionals. That's the race before nationals, and I missed it by 1 second. So I was decent enough to run in D1, but not a standout.
Explain it to all us guys here in the room who, as we got married, had kids, and started working full-time, didn't quite see ourselves get better athletically as you are. You are getting more elite as time goes on. 30 years old, working full-time, 2 kids, 1 under 1 right now, yet the times continue to get better. You continue to improve. And, man, your disposition is so relaxed. Talk about what's changed for you over these last few years.
Well, I think, for one, I started working with a new coach, Joe Rubio, about 4 years ago, and it changed everything. I think I was just kind of overtraining for a bunch of years. And then also I got super blessed just to marry my wife, who's supportive, because I spend a lot of time running. And I know not every wife would support that, but she does. And not only does she support it, now she became a runner. So it's really working out.
It's in the family. Guys, any questions for the elite one here? I know it should have been last week that could have dialed you in.
Right, my Tourette's was coming back momentarily for a moment when I heard him talking.
Anything that you can pull out of this guy, because it is an amazing thing. We talked to you guys about is that veteranship of doing these things, and you saw people out there doing them, right? We saw people that you go, geez, that person doesn't look like the most tremendous athlete, yet they're running faster.
I was walking. Everyone was running faster.
Yeah, than our walk. Advice for their second one, Jameson.
Well, I don't really know what their training was like, but no, I don't mean that to be. I think let me just say, I think it's a huge accomplishment just to get to the start line of a marathon. It takes a tremendous amount of dedication and hard work just to get to the start line, and you guys came really close. So if you just keep it up, you'll improve. You'll get it next time. But some of the things that my wife has said have been helpful was I encouraged her to try to run all the time. Like try to run 6 or 7 times a week. Most people that are doing their first marathon are only focused on the one long run. But if you don't have all that mileage behind you, sometimes the one long run is your big marathon because you're not even ready for that. And I personally think the weekly mileage is equal, if not more important, than the one long run.
Yeah, so even those Mondays we just throw in 3 miles easy, 4 miles easy, that kind of thing versus taking the day off for a rest day.
Yeah, I think it's important to be consistent day in and day out. And your body will recover even with the easy 3 and 4 mile runs, and it'll get you mentally and physically into the routine of doing that. and the other thing, I don't know if you guys were doing much else besides the long run, but I would also recommend doing one other day of some kind of speed work, something like 5K pace or 10K pace, and entering a 5K and a 10K along the way.
Hey, good advice. What's next? Hey, real quick, thanks guys for coming in. Jameson, what's next on your schedule for runs? We talking about your wife, but what do you got on the horizon?
I'm signed up for the Wharf to Wharf over the summer, and then I'm kind of at the very beginning. I'm actually coming off a bit of an injury, so I'm only about 1 month into training right now. But I'm looking at a fall marathon, probably Twin Cities.
Twin Cities is
that's in October.
Okay,
it's
October.
Not for a while, so we're a ways out from a marathon right now.
Good stuff. Maybe we'll get Paul Tarek to train for that one.
Not gonna happen. Remember we talked about setting our goals low, bar low.
Spoken like a true decathlete. He just wants points. He's just
want
hoping
points, yeah.
for
You get
points.
a marathon and a points table, and I'll start looking at it.
Rex, when am I going to get you to mix in?
I turn 40 next year. Maybe when I get that extra 5 minutes, I'll step up with you guys as well. I don't see it happening anytime soon. I'm trying to drag Sandy Sachs, though. Back out with you guys, make it a foursome. Nate Jones, he's in that 39 category as well. I don't think we're going to get him out there. Thanks, guys, for coming in. Appreciate it. Congrats again to you guys. It's an awesome step, and I know you guys grew a ton from it, and appreciate you sharing that experience with the listeners. Thanks, Jameson. Good luck on the rest of the season. Good luck to your wife. We'll check in with her next week.
Thank you.
Good stuff. All that and more. We'll hear more from the Olympian. And a couple success stories coming out of Ohio and Ventura this week. A couple people qualified for Boston, a couple PRs that we learned about as well. All good stuff right here on Living the Run, ESPN 1280. The Ticket.
Hey,
You're listening to Living the Run on ESPN Radio 1280 The Ticket.
Folks, when it comes to the health of my teeth, I will not compromise, and neither should you. It's time you go where my wife and I go. Go see Dr. Ryan Ross. I get it. Not everyone loves a dentist, and heck, even a few of you out there are scared to death of these offices. Bad past experiences? Well, you ever had a bad haircut? How about a bad meal somewhere? You didn't stop getting your haircut, and you certainly didn't stop eating, so stop ignoring your teeth. Dr. Ross's gentle approach, calming demeanor, and office full of upbeat staff put your dental fears to rest. Conveniently located in a great little house on Marsh Street downtown, Dr. Ross's office exudes the highest level of professionalism, mixed with an atmosphere much like your own home. Look, nobody's in a rush here. It's not a get 'em in, get 'em out atmosphere. Every time I'm in Dr. Ross's office, it's like I'm the only guy that matters. No distractions, just full focus on my oral health. If you're interested in the highest quality in dental care and want to walk out of the office every time with a smile, call Dr. Ryan Ross today, 541-5800.
Hey guys, Paul Tarek from Living the Run here. As a former Olympian, there is only one place myself and fellow athletes go when it comes to chiropractic care on the Central Coast. With 4 chiropractors in the clinic, Slow Wellness Center is the largest, most comprehensive group of docs in San Luis Obispo County. I began seeing Dr. Rex Stevens back in 2005 for spinal adjustments to help maximize my performance, minimize my injury, and allow me to compete at my best. When the difference between a win and a loss can be just a fraction of an inch, perfect alignment in all joints is essential. One of the great things about the team at Slow Wellness is no matter where I had an issue, whether it was my spine, my foot, knee, wrist, or shoulder, they were always able to help. This team, made up of Dr. Rex and Molly Stevens, Dr. Sachs, and Dr. Bandolo, is sure to help you reach your health and fitness goals too. If it's chiropractic care you need, go where I go, Slow Wellness Center. Check them out at slowwellness.com or call 543-8688.
Hey everyone, Eric Fiallo here from leftlanesports.com. Are you tired of paying full retail on your favorite outdoor and endurance brands? Well, whether you run, bike, swim, hike, climb, or surf, leftlanesports.com has got you covered. Save 50 to 70% off retail every day on brands like Under Armour, Asics, New Balance, Timex, Hurley, Patagonia, and more. Visit leftlanesports.com and sign up for a free membership. Plus, save on shipping by picking up your order at our headquarters in San Luis Obispo. leftlanesports.com. Gear you need, prices you want, service you deserve.
Arts Cyclery wants to invite everyone to join the celebration. Arts has just been voted the best bike shop in San Luis Obispo County for the 22nd year in a row. To celebrate, Arts has great pricing across the whole store and specials like free gloves with any Castelli jersey or short purchase, free laser sunglasses with the purchase of any laser helmet, plus so much more. So come down to Arts Cyclery at 181 Suburban Road and celebrate with great service, massive selection, and prices that will not be beat. Offers good while supplies last.
We're back with Living the Run.
Hey, good stuff from those guys, Paul. You know, anytime you're getting into a first-time event, it gets tough. And I got to give my props. I meant to do this when Keith was here. You know, I sent the guys a message and said, hey, see you guys on Wednesday. We'll come in, we'll talk about it. And he writes back, this number has been disconnected. No longer in use, doesn't receive text. I thought that was great. But, you know, Keith manned up. Those guys manned up. And the reality is that fun to look at the mindset of that concept of failing, if you will. A lot of people look at these failures, if you will. We've talked about it before. You know, failure is never fatal. It just as though success is never final. And that concept that courage counts. You know, you got to keep going forward. You got to tackle the next one. And you know, I even heard Keith talking to his kids, which is, you know, a neat thing. And his one son asked him, you know, Dad, why don't you have a medal? You know, they all give him medals after. He says, you know, Dad didn't finish today. Dad's legs got tired. Dad didn't finish, but you don't always finish, but you learn from it. And the next time, Dad's going to have opportunity to do it again, and he's going to learn something. He's going to get that next thing. And so always opportunity. I love the way these guys look at it. There's three great dudes and great fathers, great husbands, but, you know, great leaders in that way as well. It was a tough scenario to watch, man, watching these guys break down, but at the same time, fun to watch them afterwards.
Yeah, it's really an insight into the mind of children now and the way they grow up. Like, why don't we have a medal? You know, we focus so much on getting something for the effort, for the competition, that you're lose. I think we lose sight of what's really important. I mean, you look at what's going on in the news, and not to turn this back to the Olympics, but you look at what's going on in the news and how they can't find a city to host, 2022. They're struggling. The cities don't want it, and it's just so commercialized. And they've really gotten away from what the Olympics are about and what sports are about. And I think that rubs off on our children. I think it rubs off on kids, and it rubs off on people. Like, the important thing is not to have won, but to have competed. And I know, like, everybody jokes about that motto, but that really is, like, when you're there competing against, those people, like that really is what you take pride in. You want to win and you want to do well. Everybody at that level doesn't get to that level by being like a participation player, but really, like, the thing to keep in perspective is just getting out there and doing it. And like you said, failure is never fatal, success never final. And that brings a lot of stuff, brings a lot of stuff up for me. I just think about, like, how many times I competed and lost big or messed something up, or, something might even been out of my control. And there are so many times that myself and other athletes could just fold. You know what, I'm done, and get really depressed about it, or kind of turn the corner and say, how can we use this? How can we get better for next time? And that's kind of where you really start to take off. You really start to improve in your times or distances, is when you start looking at the things that you might consider a failure and say, well, what can I do next time to make that not a failure and to make it actually maybe one of my strengths? Yeah, I think, talking about this too, it was interesting. Of the three guys, Keith didn't finish the race. He didn't go to 26, but he, looking at the marathon, when he went into the race, it wasn't about finishing 26. That was never his goal. He never went in and said, hey, I just want to be able to finish a 26-mile race. His goal was, I want to get
under 3:15 to qualify for Boston. When that no longer was going to work, quads seized up, legs aren't working real well. He just shut it down. He realized, hey, I tried for my goal, and that didn't happen. Some people look at that kind of stuff and, why didn't he finish the race? It wasn't his goal. Yeah. His goal was never to just run and end a marathon. His goal was to qualify there. And I think sometimes it'll be interesting to watch how these guys come into the next one if they keep the same goal, which they probably will, but how their mindset approaches it going forward.
Well, one of the things you just talked about there is how, some people would look at it and maybe go, oh, why didn't you just finish? It's like, yeah, he's got a lot of time invested, but exactly like you talked about, if that's your goal, you're really, it's an effort in futility. All you're doing is just taking more and more out of the bank. You're just beating the body up more and more for a goal you can't accomplish, so that the next time, maybe at this point, now that he saved himself those last miles, maybe he's going to be able to get into a race a little sooner than somebody who gutted it out the whole time and didn't get it, and maybe even do better in that race.
Yeah, no question. Watching these three guys was all very, very interesting because they all had different dilemmas. And I think that, as a listener, those of you guys who are thinking about doing a marathon, those of you who have done them, have been in these situations, you can relate. And they're not always what you expect them to be. Corey's digestion issue was very, very interesting. He went in with an approach that he thought would work from a nutritional standpoint. He didn't change anything, using water, using the different things, electrolytes and so forth. We joke about the sodium tablets, but the reality is that he stuck with it, but that he hadn't done it for 26 before, and that maybe he'll try a new strategy this next time and say, hey, when I go out there, I'm going to mix with this or mix with that because I know I'm susceptible now in the gut that could end up depleting some of my energy and leave me short of my goal.
Well, he did say that they had steak. They normally eat pasta and vegetables, and the night before this one, they decided to eat some steak. And what's funny about that is I had a story back in college. I went to a meet. I'd been competing great. My PR in the 400 up to that point was 49.70 or 49.50 or something.
You've been eating your licorice and Fruity Pebbles.
I'd been hammering down. But every night before we would compete, before the first night of competition would be like chicken Alfredo or some sort of chicken pasta someplace with vegetables. And then the second night I'd have a steak. So this time we go out. We're at this big, junior nationals or whatever. And I say, you know what? I'm going to order this big prime rib. So I ordered the biggest prime. It was like 46 or 64 ounce. It was a huge prime rib. Didn't eat the whole. Didn't even eat most of it, which, it was the size of a football, right? But I ate a huge portion of this. And then the next day, end up, just feel okay for the 100, a little flat and a little heavy for the. I get to the 400, and I ran. I think I came through my split in my normal time, and in the matter of the last 200, I ended up running 56 or 57 seconds, so like almost 10 seconds off, maybe 8 seconds off my best, and cramps in both hamstrings. My gut's starting to cramp up, my quad's cramping up. So we're trying to sort it out, and my coach is like, "Well, what'd you guys have for dinner last night?" And it was like, after the race was over, and too late to do anything about it. And we tell him, and he just rolls his eyes and slaps his forehead and curses at our youth.
Listen to Living the Run here on ESPN 1280 The Ticket. Rex Stevens in with Paul Tarek. It didn't all go bad out there. And in fact, I don't even think it went bad for either of these three guys. They learned a lot, and I know they're going to come back strong. But, the sheriff's wife, Amy Parkinson, had a PR of about 20 minutes down there. Didn't go in necessarily thinking she could qualify for Boston. I think she ran a 3:48, which does qualify her in her age category. Excited as all get out. I know she put in a ton of work, but she's done a bunch of marathons. To throw in that PR at 20 minutes, just having a good day, would be nice to hear from Amy, in the sense that what did she change, if anything, in comparison to her last bunch of marathons that she's done to make that big success. I get it. They talk about this being the second fastest course out there, but as these guys said, kind of tough on the quads in that downhill. If you're not used to running a net decline, which this thing mostly was, it's not always the advantage you might think it would be. Props off to Amy for having a great race.
Yeah, maybe for the last 2 or 3 miles, it might help to have a net decline when you're, when you're that tired. But if the whole thing is downhill and you're constantly, sloping down just a little bit, you're going to pick up speed a lot faster. So, yeah, it'd be nice to hear if she actually trained for that and said, you know what, I know it's a net decline. I need to do some downhill running, some overspeed training to get the patella tendon and the quads all loosened up and in shape.
Yeah, we'll try to hit it up with her. Hey, I tell you, the one thing I learned from this, Paul, we try to talk all the time on Living the Run about balance. How do you get your exercise to be balanced? How do you do things that maximize your performance, but at the same time also maximize your longevity? And I'll tell you, some of the stuff I witnessed out there in that marathon, people are tearing themselves up and accelerating their aging at a remarkable rate. You saw a lot of people nursing injuries, trying to tape up in the middle of the race, bandage up, but keep going. I saw neurological deficits start to happen in people where they're pulling them off the course. You saw people throwing up out there, people having to run to the bathroom. People's bodies were breaking down. Certainly there wasn't perfect preparation by all, but there is a point that when you look at this, and I know Corey is the one who kind of touched on it for us, he says, how did these things get so popular? If that body breaks down too much, you can really hurt after, and you can actually, maybe accelerate aging, either musculoskeletally, cardiovascularly, immune system. Very, very vivid out there for us as witnesses and bystanders watching that race.
Well, it's that fine line. What's too much? You always tell people to push through it because it's not comfortable. They've never done a marathon. You want to get out there. And if, like we said earlier, their goal is to finish, whatever you have to do at mile 18, 19, you tape it up, you walk it off, spit it out, whatever you need to do to get to that 26.2, you got to do. But there's also that, that little guy inside of you that, is it the guy that's just tired telling you to quit? Or is it the common sense telling you you're really, this is going to be your last run before knee surgery if you don't stop, kind of thing. So it's a fine line, and only with experience are you going to know what the difference is.
Yeah, fine line for sure, and I think you just hit it right on the head. And nice to have Jameson Mora in here, a 215 guy, but he talks regularly about not getting it done right out there. They're not all perfect for these elite guys. Meb was an anomaly in that 208 run, and we don't have Americans win very often. He throws that in, the great run. These guys, so often, they know their bodies so well. They know when they need to shut it down and say, I got to get off the course today. It's not going to be there. Or, hey, this may be the day. I'm right on. I'm ready to let this thing rip those last 6 miles.
Well, yeah, like Jameson said something that I think was great, for the newer guys to hear when he said, for me, it's not an issue of can I make it. It's not an issue of I'm going to start this race. Can I get to 26? It's how quickly can I get there? So he starts off with a race plan, and as the race progresses, he's going to get to certain points in the race and make decisions. Maybe the decision is I'm not feeling it today. I need to get out of here so I don't beat myself down, because as a marathon guy, you don't have infinite opportunities to run. He's not like a 100-meter guy that can run every weekend and run five races a weekend if he wants to. He gets one race, and then he needs to take some time off to let the body recover before he can, seriously consider running fast at another race. So, he gets to a certain point. Well, how am I feeling? He's gauging it the whole way to the point where it's like, he's at mile 18, 19 saying, I know I'm going to finish. I know I'm on pace. How am I feeling? Maybe I can start peeling some time off and then finish. We talked about negative splits, but what he talked about was 5:55 down to like 5:45, I think is what he said. And, a 10-second variance, when the newer guys we were talking to, they were, 7:30, 7:15, trying to go in the 6 minutes, all over the board. The body just can't do that. It's not going to accelerate and decelerate effort-wise. You may have hills that cause time changes, but effort-wise, you shouldn't be, minutes off on your time.
Yeah, unbelievable. He suggested that 215 he ran. I think he went 5:20s, and then he went down to 5:10s. So only a 10-second difference. But for those guys, they dial it in and they stay right with it. You're right, jumping 30 seconds, 40 seconds all over the place. Acceleration, deceleration, probably not going to get it done. Hey, when we return, we will conclude the show, Blood Boiler, as well as tips and takeaways and a little bit more right here on Living the Run.
You're listening to Living the Run on ESPN Radio 1280 The Ticket.
Hey guys, Paul Terrick from Living the Run here. As a former Olympian, there is only one place myself and fellow athletes go when it comes to chiropractic care on the Central Coast. With 4 chiropractors in the clinic, Slow Wellness Center is the largest, most comprehensive group of docs in San Luis Obispo County. I began seeing Dr. Rex Stevens back in 2005 for spinal adjustments to help maximize my performance, minimize my injury, and allow me to compete at my best. When the difference between a win and a loss can be just a fraction of an inch, perfect alignment in all joints is essential. One of the great things about the team at Slow Wellness is no matter where I had an issue, whether it was my spine, my foot, knee, wrist, or shoulder, they were always able to help. This team, made up of Dr. Rex and Molly Stevens, Dr. Sachs, and Dr. Bandolo, is sure to help you reach your health and fitness goals too. If it's chiropractic care you need, go where I go, Slow Wellness Center. Check them out at slowwellness.com or call 543-8688.
Hey everyone, Eric Fiallo here from LeftLaneSports.com. Are you tired of paying full retail on your favorite outdoor and endurance brands? Well, whether you run, bike, swim, hike, climb, or surf, LeftLaneSports.com has got you covered. Save 50 to 70% off retail every day on brands like Under Armour, Asics, New Balance, Timex, Hurley, Patagonia, and more. Visit LeftLaneSports.com and sign up for a free membership. Plus, save on shipping by picking up your order at our headquarters in San Luis Obispo. LeftLaneSports.com. Gear you need, prices you want, service you deserve.
Puma Aquatics team offers year-round swim programming for novice, recreational, and competitive swimmers. For 16 years, Puma has developed some of the fastest swimmers on the Central Coast, as well as the nation. Puma has 3 convenient locations to choose from, providing programming for all of San Luis Obispo County. Puma offers swim assessments for new swimmers on Tuesdays and Thursdays at the SLO Kennedy Club, Atascadero Kennedy Club, and Arroyo Grande High School. For more information about Puma Aquatics, check out pumaswim.org. Join the Puma Pride and challenge yourself to reach new levels in your swimming. Puma Aquatics, where pride, passion, and persistence pay off.
Arts Cyclery wants to invite everyone to join the celebration. Arts has just been voted the best bike shop in San Luis Obispo County for the 22nd year in a row. To celebrate, Arts has great pricing across the whole store and specials like free gloves with any Castelli jersey or short purchase, free laser sunglasses with the purchase of any laser helmet, plus so much more. So come down to Art Cyclery at 181 Suburban Road and celebrate with great service, massive selection, and prices that will not be beat. Offers good while supplies last.
Did you know that many people endure aches and pains in their feet, legs, and back, but few recognize the solution for some of the more common causes are as simple as a more supportive and comfortable insole? At Cadence Insoles, we understand the insole in your shoe provides the first line of support and comfort for your feet. Designed by physical therapists and recommended by podiatrists, Cadence insoles provide the elusive combination of orthotic support with the shock-absorbing comfort of an insole. A local business? Visit cadenceinsoles.com for more information. Cadence Insoles, support made comfortable.
We're back with Living the Run.
Whew. Take a deep breath. After that phone call, that was fantastic. Okay, yeah, Blood Boiler, as always on this show, brought to you by Art Cyclery, artcyclery.com, or find them at Suburban Road for all your cycling needs. What did you do today, Paul?
I got 2 things I want to brag about. Today was a simple circuit. We just did 2 minutes of maxed the treadmill out, and on this treadmill was only, I think it's 6-minute pace or 5-something pace, but 2 minutes on the treadmill, 2 minutes on the bike. 20 burpees, and we did that circuit 3 times. We had a short window of opportunity, and we got that in. Yesterday we adopted. I do like the idea of CrossFit. I have a disagreement with some of the philosophies on 10,000 overhead snatches. It's just dynamic movement till failure, but it works for a lot of people. I'm not complaining, and if you're smart about it and you pay attention to your body and you listen to it, you can avoid a lot of injury. So it's not bad, But yesterday they had a workout, mile on the treadmill, 100. How'd it go? Mile on the treadmill. It was 100 pull-ups, 200 push-ups, and 300 air squats, and then another mile on the treadmill. We ran out of time, didn't get the last mile in, and you can do them in any order, in any combination you want. Just a mile to begin with, and then in the middle there, in the middle.
What do they call it? They call that the Chelsea?
Murphy or something.
Maybe the Murph.
The
yeah,
Murph.
The
yeah,
Murph.
there we go.
Yeah.
So we did that. It was a good time. It was, the pull-ups. If you count the fractionalized pull-ups I did at the end, I probably only got maybe 75 out of the 100 in, because I only go down 75% of the way to begin with. My shoulders have always bothered me in those, and by the end I was like 50%. So. But it was a good workout. I was breathing hard, and I got the heart rate up, and when I got done, I stretched and felt great.
We've been talking about negative splits here today, marathons, how to get it done. did you negative split your miles on that first
No,
mile?
I couldn't do that. I couldn't do the last one. We ran out of time. I think I would have. My first mile was in like 6:20 or 6:30. So I think I easily could have run 6 minutes for that last one.
Yeah, interesting. We went out to the track today, Rando, Sandy, and I, and we ran mile up there, a little faster pace on a mile on the track, and then came back and did a blackjack workout with push-ups and air squats. And I tell you, I finished those pretty strong. I felt pretty good, but I tried to run a lap right after. Man, my quads were on fire from those squats. Tough to get any turnover. I got to think the same thing going on in the Murph.
Whoa! Why were your quads on fire?
From the squats.
A little technique here.
Yeah, well, just deep squats. I did a lot of close together squats. I didn't do the same stance all the time. So I did some narrow stance. I did some wide stance.
Were you focused
some
on
very deep squats, and so the quads were definitely sore.
Were you focused on weight on the heels though? Because if you got your weight on your heels, it's all going to be in glute and hamstring. That's your beach body you're looking for. That's your Speedo body.
It should be, no question. And
or just
again,
as you got tired, maybe
it's more fatigue. I think had I done the squats first, ended with push-ups, I would have been able to carry over very quickly into that run. But again, going from a strength thing like squatting to trying to get your legs to move quicker on the track, a little more difficult. Than we hit some stairs after. Very nice out there today. And another warm day on the Central Coast. Brilliant stuff as always.
I'm sure people on the East Coast hate you.
Fun stuff to get the blood to boil. How about tip and takeaway from tonight's show?
I'm gonna go with when he talked about I don't look at it as a failure. When he said I don't look at it as a failure, I look at it as a learning experience. Is whether you're competing in something, whether you're just at work, whether it's a relationship, whether you're your children, something. It's never a failure. If you do something, maybe you're embarrassed. I myself am embarrassed about how I respond to my children sometimes. I'm a grown man and I'm immature, and sometimes I act like a baby having a tantrum. But the thing is, I'm not going to get frustrated with it, and I'm not going to just assume that I can't change. I look at it from a calmer place and say, all right, what do I need to do better? How can I get better next time when I respond to this? And that's what I think is a great takeaway, whether we are competing or whether we're just living life.
Yeah, I got to think from Jameson Mora. He suggested the simplest thing to you first-time marathoners, not even first-time marathoners, even if you've run a bunch of these, no one ever finishes the race and says, I started too slow. He said that right off the bat, and I think he's exactly right. No one ever starts a marathon and says, I started too slow. I should have gone out way faster. Nobody does, man. And Paul, we talk about this all the time. It's the same thing. Nobody ever says when we get our elementary school kids more physical activity during the day, they do worse.
Yeah.
They're more violent. They don't learn. They can't sit still. It's exactly the opposite every time. It's the same thing with this gluten argument and wheat. When people take it out of their diet, nobody gets worse. You can't sit and say, oh, well, now we just caused fibromyalgia. Now we caused MS. Now we caused heart disease. Now we caused obesity. Nobody gets worse when you do these things. The same thing, when you go out to that marathon, start slow, nobody will complain at the end of the show.
I'm sure somebody will complain at the end of the show.
At the end of the show, I've talked about the race. Certainly, we've had a couple people looking forward to the
But the good news,
looking forward to the Dodgers.
The Dodgers are coming up 7:10.
And don't forget, guys, the Slow Late Show tonight at 10 o'clock right here on ESPN 1280 The Ticket, as well as the CJ Silas Show. Remember, she's moved to Thursday nights at 6 p.m. Thanks to my guests, Corey Miller, Keith Sweeney, Chad Thule, and Jameson Mora. And to my co-host, Paul Tarek. I'm Rex Stevens. Live healthy, folks. Live bold. Come live the run.